Hi, I'm Jack Durish. I'm really glad to get back to my series about being an entrepreneur. As I, in an earlier blog posting, I wrote about a book called The Robber Barons, or The Myth of the Robber Barons by Burton Folsom. And in his book, he distinguished between two kinds of entrepreneurs: the commercial entrepreneurs, which I've been most of my life, and the political entrepreneurs. And I hate to admit it, I've been one of those too. Political entrepreneurs are basically people who game the system. They get our state legislators and our federal legislators to invest in their projects rather than going out and getting investment bankers and risk investment capitalists. And the reason is simple: their ideas generally aren't that good, and they fail a lot. Think about Solyndra. That is the classic example of the political entrepreneur failure. This is why I'm kind of loath to admit, yes, I have been a political entrepreneur at a time in my life. I learned my lesson when I went to work for a company that was in the business of providing social research services to the government using grant monies. The boss of the outfit went ill for about a month at a critical time when we were supposed to be preparing our proposal for the new funding for the next year. When I joined this group, they are already 2 years into the program. And so I finally sat back one day and I said, nobody's doing anything. The office came to a standstill. So I got a copy of the old proposal out for the previous year and I looked it over. And I really didn't have anything new to add, but I used a little creative writing to come up with a proposal for the third year grant. I took their results from the previous year, I restated them slightly different way. I noted some staffing changes and I put the package together. When the boss returned to the office, he looked at it and said, "This is great." And I was like, "Really?" So we got on an airplane and we went to Washington, where we met with our lobbyist. He looked at the proposal and said, "It looks fine except for one thing. You're not asking for enough money." And I'm like, "What? I haven't added anything new to it. Why would we possibly justify getting more money?" And he said, "Simple. They expect it." So we whited out the old numbers, we put in some new ones, and we trotted down to the federal office and turned our proposal in, where we were met with smiles and handshakes. And we got it. Believe me, no one was more surprised than I. Well, when I come back home, I finished up the project with this group, and I was looking around for other things to do, and people started coming to me saying, "Hey, Jack, we heard you wrote this proposal for this grant application. Could you help us?" And I suddenly found myself in the business of writing grant proposals. So in a sense, I was a commercial entrepreneur. I was providing a valuable service to private people. It's just I was helping them go milk the government for more money. I can tell you one other brief story along the same lines. A friend of mine told me, and I really believe this is true because I've seen how government agencies work. This man was in the business of making films, small documentaries. And he got the bright idea one day to go to federal and state agencies and say, "How much money you have left in the budget?" "Well, we haven't spent 10,000 or 20 or 50 or $100,000 this year." Whatever they said, he'd say, "I can use that money to make a film describing all the good work you've done in the past year." And they said, "Great." And they wrote him a contract. And they cut the check quickly because if they didn't spend the money before the year was out, they were going to lose it. And also, not only were they going to lose that money, but there was a good chance that their next year's budget would be diminished by that amount. So this way they got to spend it all. They got something that they could take and show and maybe even get more money, which of course they did. So yeah, this is what political entrepreneurs do. They're all about milking the system for money. And this has been going on way too long. So now I'm not in the business of being a political entrepreneur. I haven't been for a long time now. I've gone back to being a commercial entrepreneur. But think about this. The next time you go to vote, look at the congressmen and the state legislators that you're voting for. And think about, are these the people who've been spending our money on this worthless nonsense? They might not be the people you want to send back. Think about it.